And what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It is your boy Cheap Ludes, and today we're gonna be talking about the playoff records challenges. Why? Mainly because I've been hearing a lot of people are having problems with it, so I'm gonna go ahead and go into it. Yes, the difficulties are only Pro, All-Star, and Superstar, but we're still gonna go into exactly what to do, how to complete it. Just some general tips. So the first challenge is on Pro difficulty, and it's the 2011 Mavs. Make 80% of your free throws. Relatively easy. I'm not going to go into too much depth and go into like specific players on this one. Just make sure everyone on your lineup has at least like an 80 free throw. Just because it is on Pro, so you're not going to be fouled too much. But at the same time, when you're up there, you are going to want to make it count. And even driving the hole, you're not going to pick up a whole lot of free throw attempts, just based on the fact that the Pro CPU doesn't seem to really foul too much, and vice versa, you're not going to be fouling them too much. So you want to make the most of the chances that you get, so just make sure all your guys are top tier free throw shooters. You know, Dirk Nowitzki, obviously, if you have him, he's a really good free throw shooter. Majority of the point guards are, except for Derrick Rose, so I would probably avoid guys like that. Pretty simple. Next up, we got the 99 76ers. And you're going to need to get 2 steals with a single player to beat the Magic. Now, this one can actually give people like a lot of problems. Just because some people aren't good at stealing the ball in general. So we're going to look at some players that'll help you accomplish that feat. Pretty normal guys. Normal logic dictates that the best opportunity you're going to have is just to use point guards with high, steal tendencies and things like that. So if we're looking at like just a example, Jerry West and Darren Williams, obviously not everyone has him, but we'll take a look at him anyway. Darren Williams only has a 78 steal. Obviously, you're going to want to pump that up. Jerry West has an 88. Isaiah Thomas also has an 88. So that's another guy that's very nice to use. You want to avoid using someone like Kyrie, who has like a 69. If he's your main point guard, you can get away with using him, but essentially you're just going to want to use someone who has a very high steal tendency. I'm going to avoid suggesting Gary Payton because he's a lock-in. He's not worth locking in for. Sleepy Floyd works. Dennis Johnson is probably your best bet as far as like a budget option goes. You get a 90 or an 83 steal. Pretty solid. It'll get the job done, and as well as that, he has a lot of defensive badges too. He does have pickpocket. Pickpocket is actually a super effective badge to have. So in addition to that, that's your best options. Just use someone like Dennis Johnson, and another guy that is useful could be like Doc Rivers has a decent steal as well. Walt Frazier or Mo Cheeks even. They're not going to be scoring the ball at a high clip, but yeah, an 86 overall 3, plus I believe he has gold pickpocket. He does. So, pretty decent options. The rest of the guys on your team, obviously this is not the team that I'm referring to because this is a stacked lineup I'm using specifically for challenges and unlimited. But you're just going to want to surround whatever player you're going to be going for steals with guys who have defensive leader, things like that. Also, a nice defensive coach would help, but it's honestly not necessary, and you shouldn't waste the MT to go buy one if you don't need to. Michael Cooper is also a really good option as well. I don't think he has the greatest on-ball steal tendency. Yeah, he doesn't, but you can control Michael Cooper and steal the ball. In addition to that, he's got good defensive badges. Like, he does have pickpocket, obviously, and he does have like... Oh, he doesn't have defensive leader. That's crazy. Oh, that's nuts. Anyways, yeah, obviously equip guys with defensive leader. It'll make your job like significantly easier. So let's check out the third one. Third challenge, I believe, is 2. Yeah, it's Mark Eaton. I see his fucking dumbass face already. Yep, 2 blocks with any player. Obviously, this could go either way. Some people are good at blocking shots on ball. Other people, it's better to just let the CPU try to come through and block shots. Like, it really just depends on how good you are at blocking shots. Either way, the best course of action is just to get a huge presence in the paint. So this is just a squad I was using for rookie challenges, but getting a very tall guy who has a high block rating. Robert Parrish is probably going to be your best option for this, and the reason I say that is just because he's 1500 to 2000 MT. He's extremely cheap. He has an 80 block. He's 7 feet tall. Yeah, he has good defensive badges. He's going to be huge. He has rim protector, stuff like that. You can obviously go and improve some of these badges if you want, but I wouldn't recommend it. Bill Walton's another good option. I don't know his price right off the top of my head, but he's got an 84 block, 6'11", long wingspan. Tyson Chandler is probably going to be your best friend at this stage with an 85 block. He's also going to have, you know, rim protector, box. He has defensive leader too, and if you surround him with a few more people with defensive leader, then his stats are going to go up, and if you have a coach that increases block, you're going to be good to go. Tyson Chandler is pretty cheap. Robert Parrish, though, if you want to get this challenge done for the least amount of MT possible, Robert Parrish is going to be the best bet for you. That's who I used. I used him, and obviously Giannis is going to be right there too. I used him as well. So if you have a version of Giannis, he's also a really good option to go down there. Make sure to put a decent power forward in the mix too, just because you want a power forward that can get blocks as well. Anthony Davis, if you have him. He doesn't have a block tendency that's very high, and I don't believe his shot blocking, it's only an 80. But his player build allows for easy access to block shots. Another guy who has a good player build for blocking shots is like Cliff Robinson. He's a little slow, but he's huge. He'll get up there, block shots for you. That's the idea too, is you got to look at guys with player build too, because like, let's see, Horace Grant. Horace Grant's a pretty good well, no, Horace Grant, he can definitely get up there at block shots. Let's see, who is a good Hot Rod Williams. He's like a perfect example. What's his actual block? An 86. Okay. Thing is though, Hot Rod is so 63 speed. It sounds like it's a lot better than Mark Eaton, but Mark Eaton's 7'4", so he takes like 2 steps and he's at the basket. Hot Rod's 6'11", but his player build looks a lot smaller. So in theory, he should be able to block more shots than someone like I said earlier, like Cliff Robinson. But player build alone, it makes it harder for him to swat shots. So you're just going to want to base your guys off player build. You should be fine. 2 blocks is pretty easy. Just keep them in for the flow game. Stamina honestly doesn't mean anything in 2K. So you should be good to go in that scenario. And if you're not great at blocking shots by yourself, just find guys with high block shot tendencies. Just throw them in there and let the computer go to work. Keep them in all game. Chances are they'll get 2 blocks. Ryan Hollins is actually a really good option too. Do I have Ryan? I think I have Ryan Hollins. Let me double check. Yeah, Ryan Hollins is a super good option. He's 7 foot tall. He's huge. He has an 86 shot block. Let me check his block shot and contest tendencies. See, he only has a 29 shot block tendency though, but he has a 59 shot contest, so he's just going to throw his arms up a lot. Eventually that'll lead to balls. Dude, he has an 84 pass intercept tendency and a 79 on-ball steal tendency. That's crazy. That is crazy. But yeah, if you're good at controlling the actual player, Ryan Hollins is a really good option, and it doesn't cost you any MT. So I would recommend going with him for sure. Let's check the challenges real quick and see what's up with the 4th. Let's see. So 63 points in a game. Sounds pretty simple. It's on all-star difficulty, so it is a little bit harder for sure. I was able to do it, and I'm not really the greatest 2K player, and I've never claimed to be, and I was able to do it, so that means obviously you can too. One thing I would recommend though, and this is like a general rule of thumb, is whatever player you decide to use, because obviously you're going to need to keep them in the entire game to score 63. It is 6-minute quarters, so that does help, but you're going to need to keep them in for, if not the entire game, pretty much the entire game. I would not do this with a point guard. I made that mistake, and I did it with Darren Williams, which I ended up doing it, but it ended up getting frustrating towards the end once he was really tired, because the CPU is using the 86 Celtics. The 86 Celtics point guard is Dennis Johnson, and they use the actual Dennis Johnson card that I referenced earlier, who has Hall of Fame clamps and pretty much every single defensive badge gold. And you know the All-Star CPU is a little bit unforgiving on the defensive end. So towards the end of the game, you're not going to be able to drive past Dennis Johnson because it doesn't really matter. Stamina doesn't really affect the CPU. They're still going to play at really the same level they were at the beginning of the game, even if they have the Gatorade symbol. That being said, though, if you use a shooting guard, you're going to be matched up with a silver. It's either silver or gold. I think it's a low range gold Danny Ainge. Danny Ainge is a pure shooter. He doesn't really have great defensive badges, so using a shooting guard or a small forward at the shooting guard position is going to be your best bet. Also, pro tip against the CPU tends to trap point guards more than they trap any other position, so you'll see a lot more double teams when it comes to point guards than you will as a shooting guard or a small forward. I don't know what's up with that. I think it's just the tendencies. They'll always try to trap the person with the highest playmaking on the court. So, and typically that's the point guard. So using like a shooting guard would be better. Options to use in that regard, you can pretty much use anyone. All-Star is kind of unforgiving though, so I try to use a higher tier guy. Obviously, if you have like Allen Houston's good, but you're on All-Star, so shooting's a little bit more difficult. So trying to use someone who can do both. Like, I don't recommend using like a Doug Christie or Michael Cooper because they're a 3-and-D guy. You're going to need to play ISO ball at some point. Like, you're probably not going to score 63 points to shooting spot up threes. Like, eventually the CPU is going to try to figure that out and kind of contest a lot more shots and make your life a little harder. So, using someone in this vein, Steven Jackson, honestly, is a really good option for cheap. If you have one of the higher tier players, obviously just use them. But, you know, Steven Jackson works really well. Even Tony Kukoc, if you're stroking, pretty decent option as well. Brandon Roy, Allen Houston, obviously all those guys. You can use point guards, obviously, but make sure they play shooting guard just so they can match up with Danny Ainge and not Dennis Johnson, because that is a huge pain in the ass. Sleepy Floyd is a good, cheap option. Kenny Smith works really well, too, if you play him at the 2. I wouldn't recommend running, like, Doc Rivers or any of these guys. They just don't have the scoring chops for it, but, wow. Really not too many budget options that'll work really well. Obviously, if you have a higher tier guy, Jamal Mashburn you can do too. I'd probably use Steven Jackson instead of Jamal Mashburn. He's just got better shooting badges. So that's just a personal thing, though. I shoot a lot of spot up threes. I 3-hunt quite a bit. So it all depends on your play style. But just if you need to use a budget guy, you're using like a no money spent, just use somebody who's well-rounded. Like, I wouldn't run in there trying to score 63 points with Andre Iguodala because he can't shoot. And if my drives aren't working out and I can't hit jump shots with him, like, I'm pretty much fucked. Like, that's just what's going to happen. Steven Jackson can kind of do it all. He can shoot, he can drive, he can pass it out if need be. Wouldn't run him in the post too often, but he can do a little bit of both. That's why he's probably the one I would recommend. He doesn't play the 2 guard, so he'll be matched up with this Diamond Larry Bird, but this Diamond Larry Bird does not have clamps. He doesn't have a lot of defensive badges whatsoever, so you should be good there. And if you're going the shooting guard route, obviously, if you have one of these 2 guys, preferably Mitch Richmond, just because he drives a little better than Allen Houston, I would use them. If you have Kobe works too. Would avoid using these 2 guys. Eric Gordon, actually incredible in this regard because he can drive to the basket, he can shoot. Same with Rip Hamilton. I'd avoid using someone like MJ or someone like Ray Allen, just because those 2 guys are extremely one-dimensional offensively. MJ is pretty much rim running exclusive. Ray Allen's pretty much shooting exclusive, and once you get to a point in the game where the CPU does kind of switch up on you, it's going to be a little difficult. So using one of these 2 guys that can do it. Neither of these guys can do, you know, one certain thing better than these 2 guys, but they're more well-rounded. So, all right, so we're off to the final one, and the final one is kind of a doozy. I'm not going to lie. It was I beat it first try, but it was annoying. And pretty easy. Just get a double-double with any player, 6-minute quarters on Superstar difficulty. Now, here's the problem. Superstar difficulty, it's still kind of hard to shoot on Superstar. So what I recommend doing is, there's 2 trains of thought here. Obviously, you can go in with your highest tier point guard and try to do 10 points, 10 assists. That is what I ended up doing. But the best method for success is to actually go in there with your most efficient big men as well. Obviously, you're probably just going to be using your best team overall. And just make sure you have a paint beast in there. Someone who can get a bunch of rebounds, just because you're on Superstar, regardless how good you are at the game, the 2K algorithm is going to decide at some point that you need to miss shots, and they're going to make you miss a bunch of them. That's just how it goes, especially on the higher difficulties. Like, I don't care how good you are at the game, Superstar at some point is going to force you to miss like a bunch of threes. So make sure you just have someone big who's going to grab a bunch of boards, because if you can get 10 boards, you can probably score 10 points off putbacks alone with 10 boards. So no big deal. use someone like, if you manage to get Bob Linear through the Ascension, he works really well. I had him at like 14 boards without even controlling him. The CPU just did that. Rick Smits, Mark Eaton, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Kristaps. He's not really that great on the defensive end, but he can get some boards too. Guys like that. And if you're using point guards, obviously we covered a bunch of point guards already. You just want to make sure you have guys with Hall of Fame floor general, Hall of Fame dimer, or at least gold in both of those, just so that you guys have a better chance of making shots. And if you're going that route, just surround them with shooters. You know, that's the best way to do it. Just run 5 out, Hawks freelance, shooters, dish it out. Pretty much just like when I was talking about the playoff dimers and did my video on that one. Just 5 out, surrounded with shooters, hope for the best. So anyways, guys, hope you guys complete it. I realistically should have Bill Russell at this point. I've honestly just been too lazy to play these challenges. That's just me, though. They're not hard. I haven't even tried playing either of the final ones yet. I've just honestly been super lazy. So you do get a free pack for doing these at the end, too. So it's definitely worth doing it. You'll end up getting a bunch of free cards that none of them are really that great. Bill Russell's actually pretty good from what I hear, but the more important part is you do get a free pack, a bunch of XP, bunch of MT, stuff like that, and a bunch of cards for your collection. So anyways, guys, good luck. I hope that works out for you, and I'll be back tomorrow with like a bunch of videos. So I'm not looking forward to it. I'm guessing they're dropping either a flash pack or idols tomorrow, so we'll see what's up. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching the video. Please like, comment, and subscribe.